Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, May the 6th. How are you, sister? I had a full morning today. Went to, here, let me get Jed's treats for him. He doesn't see them. Don't eat his, eat yours. Here, these are yours right here. Here, come here. Here, here's yours. I wanted to show you the kids. Jed and Jolene, look, you can see Jolene. You haven't seen her in a minute. She's my beautiful kitty. Had a full day this morning. Went to therapy at 8. Went to the doctor's appointment. Got my staples out at 9:30. I'm bending this monster knee to 112 degrees. Go girl. Go girl. But I was actually started my study on It's All Under Control again. I've started and stopped this a few times in the last, I would guess 3 months or so maybe, because I think I've done it on here before. But happy Wednesday, May the 6th. Thought this was so good today, too good to not share. And I just want to read some of it for you. I hope it'll encourage you. I was in the study. I'm in chapter 14. I might do this on Wednesday nights coming up. We'll see. I will talk to Emily and Pastor Jesse and see maybe we can do this book all together. It's so good. Today it talks about the guarantee, plans, pinings, and a promise. It says, I was raining outside today and I sat under the porch awning on the front step of my house, overlooking our soon-to-be harvested cornfields. Sitting here, I thought of you. I thought of us. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude to Jesus for letting me take this journey with you. I'm so glad you said yes to this invitation. In the beginning, Jesus told us the same thing. He's been saying all along, help is here. He has proven himself to be faithful to his promise. Jesus has done a mighty work in my heart. I thought I was going to be writing this book for you. Turns out God was asking me to write it for myself as well. When I was about halfway through the manuscript, I thought, wow, I've been in the middle of a sacred experiment with God and I didn't even realize it. Over and over, God asked me to trust him and walk deeper into relationship with him. I didn't realize how far I'd strayed from trusting God with my whole life. When I asked you to crack the control code, God was busy cracking the code in my life. Friend, I was a tough nut to crack. I bet you are too. Sometimes the cracking was painful, yet I can't deny what I gained in return. I reclaimed lost intimacy with Jesus. I finally got over that icky feeling that if I spent time with God, I was going to miss out on something else. I can honestly tell you this, I didn't miss a thing, not the important things anyway. This is the rock bottom truth. You will never regret time spent with Jesus, and you will never regret a decision to trust God. During my own journey, I learned that I wasn't a woman to be fixed. Instead, I was a woman whom God wanted to redirect. God never once told me to be a different person, to stop achieving, or to tear up all of my to-do lists. Instead, he channeled me in a more fruitful direction. Now I can finally let go of what God has not asked me to do, so I can shine at what he has. I am at last arriving at my essential self. I hope you felt that freedom too. You don't have to be more than you are, but you also don't have to be less. You do, my friend, you do you. You have permission to apply the right amount of elbow grease and then stand back to watch what the Lord does. Remember this, you surrender outcomes, but you don't surrender effort. God will call you to do hard things, and with his spirit pulsing through you, you are more than able. As that I sat on my front step this morning, I wished you could have sat there with me. We'd share a LaCroix and cheddar popcorn, and we'd talk about what Jesus has been up to. Let's imagine for a moment that you are here. This is what I'd like to talk about: plans, pinings, and promises. So it says, she talks about when she was a news reporter. She went on a 4-day series of an article on the state of rural America. She said, I capped the series with a personal essay that said, in no uncertain terms, that real life held nothing for me. and my own plans. And they would go and they would unfold in a city. End of story. I wrote there was no logical reason ever could I make a viable life amidst the cornfields. Well, we know how that turned out. Check out our view from the front porch stuff for proof. Here we sit, you and I, watching the rain patter softly on the fields of my family's farm. God planted me in a place I never wanted, and that's where I found what I really needed. From tiny seeds, my faith grew. This is where Jesus captured my wondering heart. I shudder to think that would have happened if my take charge self had steamrolled her way toward her own plans rather than surrendering to his. Today, she says, I'm wearing a baseball cap, a t-shirt printed with the words, keep it rural. God willing, I'll be keeping it rural and keeping it real for many years to come on this patch of Iowa. But I know that I don't get to decide any of that. It's all under control, but that control is not mine. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. As you consider your plans, I offer these gentle words. Tend your seeds wherever they may fall, my friend. You never know what might be growing even now in unexpected places. Let's continue to pray this prayer. God, help me to make choices today that honor your plans for my life. We don't have to stop making plans, but let's hold those plans loosely. We may look into the rearview mirror one day and be relieved that our well-laid plans never came to pass. She said a few months ago she found an old prayer journal that she had kept for many years, and she had written down names and just enough details so that when I looked back on it, I remembered afresh what I had prayed for. And I have journaled for many years. I have so many journals and binders and just prayers and conversations with God. And I really, at this time of my life when I'm off, I'm hoping to get myself a schedule every morning. I haven't really been feeling the best in the last 2 weeks, imagine that. But I'm hoping to get on a more regimented schedule now that I'm feeling a little better, to where I can get up and have my time with Jesus and get back into my Bible studies and start journaling again. Life is like that, isn't it? You do well and then you stop and you get off, and then you do well and you get back on and you stop, and hopefully you're doing that. When you stop and you never get back on, that's the problem when you love Jesus and you need Jesus in your life, right? Don't walk away from Jesus. It says with the gift of, I flipped through the pages to find evidence of broken marriages, severe illnesses, addictions, betrayals, prodigal sons. Those were prayers for new jobs, church moves, and absurdly bold dreams. And this is from her. She said, with the gift of hindsight, it can see the hand of God. He moved some mountains just the way I asked him to, and he moved some mountains farther than I thought possible. I also saw that he didn't move every mountain. He didn't part every sea. He did not fulfill every desire. And some of what stings, there are still unresolved conflicts, great unknowns, and ginormous whys when I turn the pages in my prayer journal. But this journey, there are 4 things I'm beginning to believe about prayers and our plans. She says, 1, not a single second is wasted when we take our desires before the Lord. Number 2, we will never regret praying bigger than we dared think was possible. The kind of prayer that is smiling God might remark about when we get to heaven. Wow, child, you remember what you prayed for back when? That was one umbricious prayer. Number 3, we will someday thank God that he didn't always do what we wanted. Number 4, he won't move every mountain. He won't part every sea, but we can still trust him. One day, his plan will make total sense. As for God, his way is perfect. Let's see here. I want to get to the part it says, the pinings. So pinings and then the promise. And then I want to read the things you can control because I love that. So our pinings, sitting here on the front step with you, I also thought about our pinings. Here's what I'll bet we both have pined for. What for much of our lives, guarantees that could make it through this life in one piece, unscathed by pain and suffering. Guarantees that we could offer that kind of protection for our loved ones too. Guarantees that when we fully surrendered to God, it would all turn out all right. My whole life, I've wanted those kinds of guarantees, but there are no secret pills or self-help books that offer that kind of protection. In the end, that's why I wanted to grip my life tight. I never wanted anything bad to happen, and somehow I lived under those crazy notion that if I worked hard enough, I could move closer to the guarantee. I always thought that too. Not that working hard is bad. Wouldn't those guarantees be nice? Picture it. We'd come into the world, be handed a list of instructions for a guaranteed happy, pain-free life. On it, someone would have written where to find the accident-proof car, the magic pill to forgo illness, the impenetrable hand sanitizer, the least dangerous routes to go everywhere, the right prayers to make everything turn out fine, the surest way to make ends meet, the right political leaders who would fix all the wrong things, but there are no guarantees like that. We know that, don't we? Because we live. She says, life isn't safe. Most of us have faced loss, and if we haven't, we will. If you live a normal lifespan, the road you will take will include suffering, and even your best efforts to plan for it will fail. I want to read the promise. It says, we can't live like that, trying to figure out how to survive, or we can show up in heaven unscathed. We can't live life as if we're going to survive it. No one ever has. We all come with an expiration date, and one day we will see what we've been pining for all along. Turns out there really is a guarantee. The promise here, the promise. Our guarantee is a promise from God himself. The guarantee is that we will never walk through this life alone, no matter how out of control it gets, even when we find ourselves in the dark. Psalms 23:4. Let's read it. I was listening to Jensen Franklin this morning in the middle of the night. Well, it was early morning, actually. I love to listen to his preaching. And then I love to play the promises of God over at night so that I can sleep, because it brings me great peace and it kind of takes the pain away. Psalm 23:4. Here, let me see. It says, Psalm 23, we know that. The Lord is my shepherd. It says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So God is our comfort. The guarantee has never been that we would avoid the valley. The guarantee is that we wouldn't walk through it alone. What God does this? What God in the history of gods actually walks with his people through pain? Our God, that's who. He did more than walk. He bled. Jesus actually plunged himself into this world to provide us a real and lasting hope. He didn't simply say some nice words about being with us. He lived it. Take a moment to ponder the remarkable work of Jesus. Take the potency of the final words that he spoke over us from the cross. It is finished. John 19:30. So we serve a God who came here. He loved us so much. He came from his home in heaven where he had no sin. He came here, lived on this earth as a man, still no sin, but he saw the pain and the suffering that was on this earth from the sin that's here. Didn't he? Cried because he loves us so, and he died for us. John 19:30 says, when Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished, and he bowed his head and he gave up the ghost. It says, where in your life do you need to know it's finished? Where in your life are you still trying to earn your way, prove your worth, control your future, or get what's already yours in Christ? What responsibility do you take as you own that was never yours to begin with? It is finished invites you to end all the striving. Today, hear your victor speak those three words over you. In the Greek, the phrase, it is finished, is actually represented by a single word, teteles. I wish I would have looked this up. Tetelestai. Tetelestai. That word means finished or completed. Get this, that also means paid in full. The word was written on receipts in the New Testament times to show that the bill had been completely paid. What a great reminder. When Jesus died on the cross, he paid our debt in full. It is finished. We don't need to pay our way. It's finished. We can stop trying so hard to be more, to be enough, to prove ourselves. It is finished. There was a tremendous debt on us long before I took our first breath. The wrath due on us was upon his shoulders and was his last breath. And with his last breath, Jesus uttered the words, "It is finished," paid in full. That is the startling truth of the marvelous cross. When we try to add to it, we are saying to Jesus, "Thanks, but I can do this on my own. I appreciate the agony you endured, but it wasn't quite enough." She says, here's what God's Spirit produces in us: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, and the fruit of the Spirit, right? Let's see. Self-control. Oh, here. Self-control. Here she talks about what self-control means. Turns out self-control is so much bigger than that. She says, I used to think self-control was simply about not indulging in our desires. If God's main purpose here was to keep us from eating the whole bag of Funyuns, because of my narrow view of self-control, the darling in me always treated this virtue as one more thing I needed to control. It was all about keeping my longings in check to make sure I was following the rules. Turns out self-control is much bigger than that. Let's step back and see the whole picture. Self-control is actually God's control at work in us. Strong's Concordance defines self-control as something proceeding out from within oneself, but not by oneself, which means that we don't do this in our own power. The Greek word for self-control is enkratisha, which means true mastery from within. For the believer, this kind of self-control can only happen by the power of God working within us. That means we have more control than we ever dared imagine, with more power to wield it than we ever thought possible. That's actually quite a bit you can control. Here are a few things you can start with today: your effort, your perspective, how kind you'll be, what you'll stand for, what you won't stand for, how you treat other people, how you treat yourself, how much time you give to worry, how much time you give to God. If you let them keep you down, if you stand back up again, how honest you are, your gratefulness, your attitude, your words, and so much more. You, my friend, are not powerless. That is the promise of God at work in you. That is the guarantee. And then she has a manifesto that she says. Let me read that. Well, I might be too late. Let me read things you can control: your effort, your tongue, your thoughts, your perspective, how kind you'll be, what you'll stand for, what you won't stand for. Oh, here, I was just reading that. How you treat other people, how you treat your own self, how much time you give to worry, how much time you give to God. If you let them keep you down, if you stand back up again, how honest you are, where you'll focus, your gratefulness, your reactions, your attitude. Don't you love that? I love that. I actually remember starting this whole Bible study at Joy, and we might have to start it over because it's been a minute. I think that was in the fall, if I'm not correct. Anyway, I hope this Bible study helped you. Stay close with Jesus. Stay off your phone so much. Get outside, get some fresh air, and then take a rest. All right, sister, have an awesome rest of the day. I love you.